Hello, my name is Jason Perkins. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of my Georgia Workers' Compensation video series. I'm an attorney that specializes in Georgia workers' compensation cases. And I created this series to provide you with helpful information about Georgia's workers' compensation law and the rules that apply and the benefits available to you under it. Today I want to talk to you about an important issue in workers' compensation cases. That is, fixing late workers' compensation checks. Now, if you're out of work as a result of your injury or receiving any type of weekly benefits from workers' compensation, then it's important that your checks arrive on time. You definitely have bills that you need to pay, and those bills always seem to arrive on time even if the checks don't. So what do you do if your workers' compensation checks are arriving late? The first thing that's important to understand is the rules that apply to the insurance company in getting you your checks on time. When is a check late? Workers' compensation benefits in Georgia are generally paid on a weekly basis. So that means that each week there should be a check issued to you by the insurance company if you're entitled to temporary total disability, temporary partial disability, or permanent partial disability benefits. These checks should be issued either during the pay period that they're paying you for. And when they have to be issued or mailed depends on whether the insurance company is mailing them from inside of Georgia or outside of Georgia. If checks are being mailed from inside of Georgia, they have to be mailed by the last day of the pay period that they're paying you for. So if you look at your workers' compensation check and you see that pay period, let's take an example of a situation where the pay period is January 8th to January 14th. If that check's being mailed from inside of Georgia, it needs to be mailed by January 14th, the last day that it's paying you for. If the insurance company, like lots of insurance companies do, are mailing those checks from outside of Georgia, then they have to mail it 3 days before the last day of the pay period. So that January 8th to January 14th check would have to be mailed on January 11th. If it's not mailed on time, then the check is late, and a late penalty would apply. Under Georgia law, that late penalty is a 15% penalty. So how do you know when the check's mailed? Well, there's two good ways that you can look at that. One is by checking the issue date on the check. So the check should have a date that it was issued, and if that issue date is after the date that it should have been mailed, then you know that that check was late. It could not have been mailed before it was issued. Even if the issue date is before or on the date the check should have been mailed, the check could still potentially be late if it wasn't mailed on time. And the best way to check maybe for the date it was mailed is by looking at the postmark on the envelope. If you check the postmark and it was after the date the check should have been mailed, you also know the check was late, and you should contact the workers' compensation insurance company about getting a late penalty paid. One other thing that you can do to try to straighten out your checks if they're repeatedly late is reaching out to the insurance company or having your attorney, if you have one, do that on your behalf to see about getting you put on what's called like a repeat pay or scheduled pay or automatic pay situation. Most insurance companies have the ability to schedule you so that your future payments are automatically issued. They put it in the computer, they put you on repeat pay, and those checks should go out on a certain day each week as opposed to the insurance adjuster having to manually enter the checks. This is more likely to help create a situation where you get the checks mailed when they should be and they get to you hopefully on time, than when the insurance adjuster has to manually enter the checks each week. And as a result of that, they may forget to mail the check, and so you end up with a check and you've got your bills that are late. And even if you're entitled to that 15% penalty, a lot of times dealing with the late bills and that sort of stuff is a worse situation even when they pay the penalty. So you may want to consider doing that to see if you can get your check sent on time. I hope you found this information about how to fix late workers' compensation checks helpful. If you have, please let me know that. The best way you can do that is by liking this video or by giving it a thumbs up. If you have other questions about workers' compensation, I'd encourage you to visit our Perkins Studdard Workers' Compensation channel on YouTube. All the videos from the Georgia Workers' Compensation video series are available for you to view there. And you can also subscribe if you'd like to be notified of future videos in that series as they come out. If you have some specific questions about your workers' compensation case, I think a free consultation with a workers' compensation attorney is the best way to get those questions answered. If you'd like to set up a free consultation with me, there's two easy ways that you can do that. The first is by calling the phone number at the bottom of the screen, Or you can visit our website, which is www.perkinslawtalk.com, and you can complete and submit the free consultation request form that's available there, and someone from my office will contact you to get a consultation scheduled. Thanks again for watching today, and I wish you the best of luck as you recover from your injury.